Hi, Bat here talking about Orion Sphere, a science fiction setting LARP system based in the UK. It's got aspects of Firefly, Star Wars, Battlestar Galactica and Stargate to it, and it's using NERF guns as well as core weapons with foam around it for safety reasons, and both a very interesting system, very interesting setting. So firstly, a quick shout out to the crew, the people that created it. I believe it was Michael's idea. Cohen ran with it and made all these rules. And then they got Nathan involved and Harry, I imagine some other people as well. I've managed to put together this spectacular setting. And more importantly, while systems matter, players definitely matter more. And it also helped that the players that we were involved with, I think it was about 70 at the first event, did a really good job, both in regards to bringing, great kit, great little aspects, little gadgets and so forth, but also really fleshing out their characters and adding a bit of depth. After all, it's the first event and it can be hard for everyone to be starting from, sort of stage zero. But fortunately, that's partly because the character creation system and also the setting itself gives you something to work with. And it sort of highlighted a few interesting aspects there. And as usual, you end up sort of wanting to do everything because, well, you don't exactly know what's going to be useful when you start out. And then it turns out that, the starship itself is going to be using skills, and you're going to be using a starship simulator, and that was the UK Starship Bridge Simulator, which Wayne and Raymond ran as Mr. Dalliard and Mr. Dalliard. They really added something extra spice to the game, and it gives an indication of the future that could apply to fantasy LARP with augmented reality and virtual reality, sort of thing I was babbling on about to some friends about 10-15 years ago. So I think with this being a science fiction LARP, obviously having computers there is certainly very in character, but it's important, how that actual software is used, and the two chaps did an amazing job. So why you should check out the game? Well, the setting's been really well constructed in regards to the factions. They're diverse, they've got their own distinctive flavour, and crucially they're set up as adversarial towards each other, but with a sensible level of apprehension. There's a stalemate in the game, and after all, no one wants to be the one that breaks the treaties or breaks the stalemate and, leads to an escalation of 2 or 3 factions against one. So it sort of promotes diplomacy, but it keeps the threat there of escalations of PvP on skirmish border wars, and of course that then escalating up to full galactic war and, well, think of the bloodshed. So the individual factions, we've got the Terran Ascendancy. They're an authoritarian group using the noble houses of Earth. The human race expanded out into the galaxy, and unfortunately then met these ancient empires, and a bit of blood, war ended up happening, and unfortunately the left behind the Free Union got formed from. So these were human colonies that had, unfortunately, the Terran Ascendancy didn't think they could protect, and in the end the Free Union kind of came together itself and formed its own coalition. Now the Free Union is still mostly led by humans, but they've also got vassal alien races as well, and there's quite a few of those that were being played. And one thing about the Free Union, of course, is they've got that sort of smuggler aspect to it, the Firefly clue, the Rebel Alliance from Star Wars, etc., that ragtag fleet from Battlestar Galactica, and somehow they get the job done. And while some of them, yes, well, they are criminal types, there's also a strong sense of camaraderie and morality there even as well, which was, quite intriguing and surprising. We've got the commonality, which is primarily led by the Elysians, which you could technically call, I guess, space elves, or as they were nicknamed at the event, hypno-elves. They're a psionic race, and whilst they are, fortunately for the most part, pacifistic, one could almost miscategorize them. They're not actually pacifistic, they just prefer to use a more sort of diplomatic approach at first. But if they have to use violence, then of course they were willing to do so. Apparently this race has entities known as judges that can allegedly waste entire planets, so, not a small threat. We've also got the Dominion, which is primarily led by the lizard race of humanoids. They follow the path of Tulak. They're a very religious collaboration of different races under this one big religious banner, but they also have strong senses of honour and a willingness to actually also be diplomatic and scientific. So of course that helps set the stage for what we experienced at the first event. There's a lot of things going on, and everyone was trying to figure out what was happening with this alien race, this hive creatures that had ended up developing a actual hive mind, and obviously some form of sentience became apparent, and at which point we were trying to work out how to progress. And I sort of did a throwaway suggestion in regards to some crazy plan, almost, taking the piss a little bit. And almost immediately other members of the Free Union were like, no, we can actually do that. We can organise things with Mr. Dalliard and Mr. Dalliard and get these things done. And of course, talking to the other factions, they started bringing their own aspects to the mission. And by the next day, by Sunday morning, things had actually got to the stage where, a fully fleshed out plan had formed, with the actual, more importantly, the ability to actually pull it off, which is what ended up happening. So all in all, I think everyone had a win, and everyone got to be on the moral high ground and to bring their own aspects, their own individuality, their factions, certain, stance and beliefs on things, and to put them into practice. So that's always a great thing. So yeah, the first event was pretty much awesome. And I think that definitely helps the fact that there were so many missions to do, there's bounties out there, there's plenty of NPC interaction going on, both from monstering and also random NPCs turning up. You've got the PvP aspect in the background as a threat, although I don't believe any actually happened, but it at times felt like it was about to kick off. And I think that's a very good thing for the first event. It certainly sets the tone for the future. But at the same time, the fact that we're willing to work with each other, I think also kind of captures that Star Trek feel to it. And, again, I think that certainly sets the tone for the future. So I'm very much looking forward to things. Other things of note, there was children at the event, and I believe there was stuff being done for them as well specifically, and the crew have plans for the future. The site was amazing that we used, and the weather was good, which is always good at a LARP. So yeah, 21st September is the next event. I think it's definitely worth checking out, and thanks for listening.